Hi, team.
Hello, Mike.
Getting really into that music. It got me in the Christmas spirit.
Did you cut the music short this week?
I've tweaked the intro a little bit because, the sound quality wasn't great on the last one. So
Oh, it caught me off guard.
little tidy up there. Little surprise for you both.
Enjoying it.
So, show 3. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Absolutely.
As you can see, we're all full of festive. Thanks, Tess, for the reminder.
Yeah. You didn't remind me. I came on full blown Christmas hat and everything.
Yeah, it is a definite good look. So this week's show, we are looking forward to 2021. So bring on 2021. We're going to be talking about our hockey highlight of the week. We're going to be talking about Division 1 North and South in the men's and women's division, seeing who we think is going to be going up and down there. Some people to look out for and teams to look out for in 2021, and the all-important Olympic Games and European Championships. So that's today's show. Loads going on. Last show before Christmas. So excited to get going. So, Tess, what is your hockey highlight of the week?
My hockey highlight. So the purpose of this hockey highlight thing can be anything. It's like just hockey related. So this week I did my first ever free solo workshop, which was really cool, with RJ Hockey, which is a hockey sort of academy in Bristol. So it was a couple of hours. We did the theme was trouble. So it was like getting out of trouble, using those skills, because I find myself in trouble a lot, and getting defenders into trouble. So that was really cool. So that's my hockey highlight.
Nice. Gibbo?
Hockey highlight, hard to pick because there's probably two that I put on a par, but the one that was a bit different was I went back to coach my home club. So I coached Doncaster Men's last night. My brother's head coach there as a player coach, and he said, "Do you want to come down?" I was like, "Absolutely." He's the only coach on a pitch I've got to do this week. So so far this week. But yeah, that was good, and it's refreshing to see the people that you know from years and years ago haven't changed a lot, and they're still about the same things and good people. And actually, what was really cool was last time I was sort of involved at the club, there's a group of lads that would have been 12, 13, 14, but they're up in the first team group training now as 17-year-olds, which is great to see, 16, 17-year-olds. And that's like, I didn't recognize them. I came back, I was like, "Is that him?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, that's him. He's a man now." And they were doing really well in that environment. So yeah, they're all playing the twos, training the ones, and it's just really nice to see. Some of them went to England trials in October. And I'd not seen them in a long time, so I just had a chat to them about that and how they got on and enjoy the experience and stuff. So that was pretty cool. And then some small group coaching and one-to-ones on. I've been doing that on Sundays. So one last Sunday, one this Sunday. They're always a highlight. But yeah, all down at Donny, actually, my highlights, because I do it on their pitch as well.
Is that what the locals call it, Donny?
Yeah, I think, you're allowed to call it that as well, Tess.
Because the only time I know Doncaster is when I'm going up to Durham, so I like pass Doncaster. So all I can hear is like the train voice. "Welcome to Doncaster," and then
and nobody gets off.
Yeah, literally.
It's a place you go through to get where you are going.
I'm like hoping the person sitting next to me is going. Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I love Donny. It's got character.
How about you, Mike?
My hockey highlight, delivered an FIH course again this week. Haven't delivered one in a little while, so it was really nice to do that. Delivered with Darren Cheeseman. So that was really good fun on session design. We had a few people on the course, and they were all every single one was from a different nation, which is so cool. So we had Barbados, Peru, Malaysia, Holland, Ireland, and the UK. So yeah, really, really eclectic mix. And it was a lot of fun. And it's not even like those guys were from those nations.
Yeah.
So, one of the guys who was, we had two, and Belgium. And the guy that was in Belgium was actually Portuguese as well. So there was a bit of everything going on. So it was a really decent mix. Yeah, I love the FIH courses just because you get to meet so many cool people from around the world. And like I say, some of them, it was like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and they were committed to get on and listen to me and Cheese for 3 hours talking about session design. So
3 hours.
Yeah, and we overran because
About
we
session design. Wow.
living the dream. Got to like 3.5 hours. It's quality. Proper nerding out. Yeah, it was good fun. So that was my hockey highlight. And cannot wait for the next one. Got another one. We've got another one which we're delivering beginning of January. So yeah, more information on the FIH website. Little plug.
Good person to deliver with as well, isn't he, Darren? Just a good egg, good person to have be around.
Yeah. Well, what did you call it? What did you say? What was your northern phrase for him?
He's got a nice way about him when he does these sort of things. Yeah, he delivered a course I was on this summer. Just got a nice manner. Seems to everyone's like scrabbling around to figure out how to do online learning, and he'd figured out his way pretty early on. It seemed this was in May, so he kind of knew what he was doing. And because online learning is tough, it's different to delivering, as you'll know, Mike. Different to delivering physically, but yeah, he just had a nice manner. I've always I've known him a few years now, but he's always had just brightens up a room, doesn't he? He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good bloke. He is a good bloke, and it's been cool developing the FIH stuff with him as well. So Darren and I probably delivered most of what's been going on in the FIH stuff this summer. So it's been cool to bounce ideas and stuff, and he is like way ahead of the curve. Like he's really on it. So yeah, it's good fun. Good fun. Right then, Gibbo, over to you. You're going to start the show. What are you talking about this week?
What am I talking about this week? You caught me off guard, Mike. My topics. So,
I think I need a 101 mug. So
I do need a 101 mug. So
sorted.
I said I would talk about this. This is why I said I wasn't prepared. It meant I'm not doing any show notes. I haven't this week. So this is me scrolling through a WhatsApp chat to tell you what I was going to talk about. What was I going to talk about, Mike?
Players. The players to watch out for.
Oh, right. Players to look out for as we get things to look forward to in 2021. This is my idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So things to look forward to in 2021. Players to look out for. Oof. So yours is valid from last week, Tess, and will echo. Like Freya's doing well in the EDP. Another player who I know really well, I think is going really well in the EDP and has had a pretty much faultless is an extreme word, but blemish-free year, just a great year of development, is Iona Campbell. She's going really well in the EDP. She's from Scotland, grew up in Holland, now plays at Loughborough, and she seems to be going really well, hearing great things about the EDP, and she's doing great things in the Loughborough.
She plays at the back, doesn't she?
Yeah. She's the very tall girl with a Dita stick that plays at the back.
That's actually more commonly known. Tall girl at the back.
Tall girl at the back, because she's more commonly known by opposition scout, I'm sure. They don't use the name. Tall girl at the back. So yeah, she's going really well. Definitely one to look out for. She actually played really well about a year and a half ago, Tess. She played youth EDP against the seniors at Reading, and I went to watch that. She did really well in that game, which was quite an eye-opening thing, because that was the end of her first year at Loughborough, and it was like she was hanging in there with. She had to pick up Lily a lot, and I was like, she was hanging in there with one of the world's best players. You're doing really well here. The level she got to very quickly.
I noticed most of the EDP, but especially Iona, become really physical in their marking, which has made such a difference. Playing against them, you really have to try do little fakes to get away from them in the D. I really noticed that. And a great distribution at the back as well.
Yeah, she zips around. She's putting yards on her aerial all the time. Yeah, she's just had a really good. The entire time Loughborough's been an upward curve, but these last 12 months have been amazing. And one to watch out for. Actually, I'd give this a little thought, but there's a lad from Doncaster who is in the NAG 16s. Well, that was in NAG 16 last year. He's trying as a 17 at the moment, and really talented, really fast, called James Burley. And last night I had a chat with him, and it's the most sort of reflective, open, self-driven I've seen him. He's saying, what do you think I should be doing? He was asking lots and lots of questions. Oh, you never used to do this when I coached when I was younger. And it's just sort of a new thing for him to be. He was really asking the right questions. So I think he's got a good school environment at Hill House, by all accounts, I know a little bit about that program. My brother's girlfriend works there, so they look after the players quite well, I think. So, and he's at a good club. But yeah, I just noticed a little change in him. Like his intensity in training was very high last night. Works incredibly hard, and he's asking lots more questions now. And he's getting more feedback, so he's definitely one to watch out for if he keeps up that, because he's got all the tools.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think that's what it's like as a junior when you take the switch. Like I remember going from 16s to 18s, I felt like diligence towards training just changed. Sort of like realize that it's something you want to take more seriously, and then you kind of can kick on pretty quickly if you ask all those questions like you're saying.
It's something that will have happened for everyone in your environment, Tess. At some point in their sort of training life, they'll have thought, I need to get the most out of this opportunity now, and not just turn up and leave and do the bit in the middle and leave. It's how do I get the most out of this opportunity? How do I get as much quality information as possible and use it? And I think it looks like he's taken a bit of a step forward on that front. So I don't like the word coachable because it infers it's about the coach, I guess, but he was definitely those behaviors you look for, like he's interested in his own development. You can really see it now, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's one thing which I struggled with when I was a youth. I just never had I missed the moment when I was playing. I feel like I got caught up in it being a trial rather than an experience to learn from. And I think that's one thing which I really try and pass on to anybody that's involved in tryouts and stuff. Like you just got to enjoy the moment and take it as an experience, not as in it's the be all and end all. And I think that's something which, looking back, I wish I'd actually enjoyed playing a bit more, particularly in those environments, because actually it's a privilege to turn up those trials. You know, one of the best in the country, you're turning up. It's a privilege. Like, enjoy it. Like, not everybody's going to get that, and I wish that I had done. So to hear that he's actually really engaging in the process, that's quality. That's so good to hear, because I think every young person should really just enjoy whatever they're doing. Like, because you get one crack at it. Well, I say you get one crack at it. You may only get one shot, but also you're only young once. So actually enjoy it, because it goes fast.
So we're a bit older, Mike. Did you feel like you could when you were at training? Did that's a genuine question, like go to a coach? And not that I'm saying any of the coaches of my generation were bad, because they were very good and obviously very grateful, but I just think that's the change in coaching, like that approachability now, where it's just a two-way street. Because I don't know, I probably would have been able to, but I never felt like I could. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Looking back, I was like, turn up, do what you're told, and go. And I never grasped that net on myself as a player, as a kid. I'd figure it all out in my own head and wouldn't really go and ask for lots of feedback or engage in that two-way conversation, which I think happens more now. And we know he's good coaching, but I never did it either.
Yeah, I had a really good club coach, but then everything else was, I just didn't feel like I had the confidence to go and like engage. And now I just talk to anyone. So yeah, funny how it turns out. Any other people to look out for in 2021?
People to look out for in 2021. I had a coach wrote down. Yeah, I did. I don't know if people could already know who he is, but he probably won't know I'm going to say this, but there's a lad who was on two. You know, everyone did like an army of CPD over the summer. Everyone was like a Zoom warrior, and you're on calls, hockey, coaching, and it was just like a blur of how many things can I do, and like everyone did too much. But there's a lad called Lawrence Mead who was on like 3 or 4 calls I was on. Just thought it was a really good.
Yeah.
I think he's young. He looked young, and he's your thumbnail pick. So he looked like a young coach, and he sounded young. I never heard of him until this period, but he just came out with some really good remarks. Seemed very well adjusted, well balanced, quite reflective, had some good ideas, and I thought he'll be a name to look out for. So I sketched that down. I didn't want to just do players, because we've got hockey coaches contribute a lot as well. And I don't know anything about him other than he's a face on Zoom calls, but he came out with some really good stuff, and we were in a discussion. I think it might have been Elliot and Will's things in the summer. And he was on one of those, and I just thought, he came out with some really good stuff, asked a lot of good questions, and maybe a name to look out for. Yeah, I don't know anything about him, so Mike, if you know him, shout out to him.
Yeah, he did some of the FIH. He did 2 or 3 FIH courses.
Okay.
So I think he did his level 1 FIH online, which I delivered, and he did a couple of others as well. Good guy, really good guy. cares a lot about the detail, enthusiastic, listens really well. Yeah, I like him. He's good.
Awesome.
Really good.
Well, tag him because I don't know him. It'd be cool to have a chat, but I thought it was really had a lot of good ideas when we engaged in the summer. But yeah, I bet it's like those thousands of people you meet in a little box over the summer, in a little grid somewhere.
He'll probably end up at Loughborough now, won't he?
I think this is what it is, a recruitment vehicle for us.
Yeah,
Lucky.
E.g. Durham, Loughborough.
No, it's just Loughborough, clearly.
Is it? I don't know. He's welcome. That's what everyone's welcome. It's an open door, as you well know.
We've got a nice little shout just to start the day before we move on. Ian, listening pitchside at Marlow Hockey Club right now, waiting for the under-10s to arrive in their Christmas jumpers and hats, and he's also given us a thumbs up as well.
What a guy.
Christmas hats, exactly.
Top man, Ian. Ian's sort of the super fan. He's like fan number one.
Yeah, he's very often at the side of a hockey pitch and has taken a lot of the 101 pictures were actually taken by Ian. So big shout out to Ian, the fantastic photographer and definite hockey dad legend on the side of the pitch. So yeah, thank you for listening, Ian. Right, moving on. I'm going to talk very quickly about Division 1. So last week we spoke a little bit, well, week 1 actually, we spoke a little bit about the Premier League and who we thought was going to do well and who we thought was in a bit of trouble. This week I want to talk a little bit around Division 1 North and South in the men's and women's leagues. I'm going to start off with Women's Division 1 North. The mighty Loughborough sitting at the top of the league there. And obviously without...
This is men. Is this men's?
That's men, that.
Oh, that's men, sorry. My bad.
Yeah, that's the mighty, you can have the mighty men if you want.
Here we go. We'll start with women. So Stourport, Leicester and Bowden looking pretty tight at the top of the table there. That's going to be a really tough
That's
game.
funny. Yeah, I wasn't. When I was in the North League with Durham, I didn't really come across Stourport
because they moved across from the West, Tess.
Yeah.
The year we got promoted, they were the West Conference champions. So there's been a bit of a reshuffle with West and Well, no, that was the old conference structure. Sorry. So now you've gone into the North. The teams in the north of the West have gone into the North. Mm-hmm. So Stourport would still be more northern, but yeah, they were they could be one of those teams in the old conference structure that depends how things fell, that could go either way, I guess.
Yeah. And they were also so I think they won Division 1 West 3 or 4 years running, but
Correct.
Never got out of the division into the Premiership.
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to be tough. But also you've got so much experience in Leicester and Bowden. Like there's some quality players in there. So that's an interesting. Bowden haven't played either Leicester or Stourport.
Oh, really?
So they've got them to play. And Stourport, I need to get this right. Leicester and Stourport have played each other. And I think Stourport won that. I will need to double check. If anybody's got that on hand, help me out here because I'm drowning, but I can't.
Yeah.
No, but it's interesting that Bowden aren't topping it then. I guess
Well,
they've had
win the game in hand.
Yeah, that's true actually.
And I think this is the really interesting thing when I was going through all the league tables, like the fact that you're like, oh, well, they're really at the top or really at the bottom. People have got all sorts of games, like University of Nottingham, 0 points, but they've only played 3 games.
Mm.
They win those.
They had a very bad time with COVID. So early in the season, I know that they played a game with a significant number of unavailabilities right at the start of the year. I don't know the exact numbers involved. I just know that they had a hard time with that. I think it might have been the Leicester game they played first week. Carried the squad will obviously be on the online system, but I think they went with less than 16 and a lot of unavailability. There is a side with a 100% record in the league that you get to mention. I'm not biased though.
We'll come on to that later. So then if we look at the South League, I think Reading are obviously in a pretty commanding position at the moment. And they've played and beaten Sevenoaks. So I think they're in a pretty...
I've also played in this league, yeah. So tough. Very tough
really
league.
tough league. The interesting one for me in this though is Iska. Now Iska, you'd think, okay, we're at the
Oh my word.
they've only played 3 games, so and actually that's not an easy away trip going all the way down there. So I think actually come the end of the year, I think it's actually probably looking at that Surbiton. This is Surbiton 2s, by the way. I think they could be actually the ones in a bit of trouble here.
Harleston was always a horrible place to go. I mean, it was just like a tough crowd, tough place to go. I remember as Cambridge City just sort of like dreading going there. But good that Canterbury are sort of like in the mix. That's good to see.
Definitely. Yeah, really good. But yeah, I think you'd have to, if you're if you're a better man, you'd expect Reading to be the ones to go back up in, or at least go into that position to get into the promotion with the new playoff structure. And for those that don't know the playoff structure, the winner of North and South play against each other. The winner of that then goes into the Premiership, and then the loser of that gets a second chance because they will play the playoff from the relegation playoff place in the Premiership for that.
So that is traditionally how it was going to work. Mm-hmm. There are some. I've just been on a call and nothing's been sent out from EH. So I'm not, but that there are various iterations that could work better from how much of the season you play from a COVID perspective. So that's the intention, and that's the model that was passed to work for this year. But yeah, just keep your eye on the league updates and stuff because there's going to be a solution that works for the most of the teams that comes out. It may or may not look like that, but yeah.
Oh yeah, and I think there's definitely so much going on in that. And then I mean, if we're looking at this at the moment from the women's Prem, again we're looking at Beeston potentially, Holcombe, Clifton, one of those 3 potentially. But yeah, anything could happen, which is the very exciting bit from my point of view. And then on to the men's side, we've got men's Division 1 North. Yes, Loughborough have got the full complement of points, 15 points, played 5
do with me, that's all the hard work of Jerome Gowdy and Alex Bailey.
Yeah. Oh, Bailey, what a legend. He's a top bloke.
Part of the players, of course, but there's a few players to watch in that group as well, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely. I think the interesting bit for me is Alton Down, like any of those could get relegated. So I think the fight to stay off the bottom, I think, is going to be a really tough one. So I think that for me is definitely going to be something that's going to be really interesting moving forwards. Like any slip up in there and you're in a bit of trouble. Div 1 South for the men, again, really tight. So you're looking at almost Canterbury up, I guess. Obviously, I think that's the only league with a full complement of games played.
Oh, wow. With a uniform number of games played. So they'd all be on obviously more than 6 if normally, but I think it's the only division I've seen looking at that with a uniform number of games played. Yeah.
So I think this is the truest example, but also at the same time, it's such a tight league. You look at Havant, they've scored 13 goals. Teddington have only scored 15. So actually that shows this is going to be a really tight league all the way to the end. You'd even argue, like, yes, Hawks are sat there with 9 points. They could be in trouble as well. A couple of rogue results. I think that's going to be a really fascinating league to watch.
I didn't realise Southgate were... Oh, I did know they're in that league because that's a Div 1, isn't it? Not a conference. Yeah. Sorry.
Interesting because Sevenoaks and Reading are like really strong indoor wise. So like, the men's Sevenoaks team they always did get to the copper box. So they don't have that this year, which is a shame.
Yeah, that is a shame. Because actually, like you say, those guys are really solid, and actually looking at Sevenoaks and Reading, they've got 2 really like pretty good goalkeepers in there as well. Guys with a lot of Premier League experience. So yeah, they're definitely going to be, difficult to play against. And then from the men's Prem, again, you'd probably be looking at Brooklands, Oxted as the two going into that spot at the moment. But again, Brooklands always have this ability to get out of trouble. So yeah, I think again, it's all tight going on there. So yeah, really exciting, and I cannot wait for the leagues to get restarted so that we can actually see some of these results coming through. I think it's going to be a really exciting way to end the year.
Yeah.
A little recess, Mike, is we can make it a little 101 challenge. Hopefully we get to see a lot of it, because teams are, like we said, episode 1, Beeston bit the bullet pre-lockdown with BTV. OGs have got on board. We tried to do a broadcast which didn't work live. It just basically our live broadcast is just Annabelle Denley commenting on a game on Huddle for us. So it's great, but it didn't go out live. It didn't work. But we are exploring. Danny is our tech guide on most things at Loughborough. And yeah, we'd like to put games out live, and it'd be great to see some of it like live and then chucked onto YouTube after. So because we don't know if these games are going to happen with a crowd and stuff. So yeah, it would be nice to say we've got this time, but we're going to resume at some point. Could maybe a few more teams come out with a filming solution? That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
We're even potentially looking at it for Marlow in our lowly division, but I think it's more people that start doing it.
Yeah.
Like it's not mega expensive to do.
Yeah.
It can be live streamed through something like we're doing right now, and this is a really effective solution. So yeah, I think it's definitely something which more clubs could look to do.
And I'd watch.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That felt like that day there was the Beeston game, then the OGs game was like the first ever Hockey Super Sunday. Like you know when you get the games, it was for a hockey badger. It was right. Like you got to flick over onto the other stream because another game about to start. It was great. It was. I didn't have to
connect it to the TV. Fine.
Yeah. It was Hockey's first ever Super Sunday. Absolutely great.
When EG streamed it as well, it was so good, so good. You feel
everyone, load of coaches texting each other saying, "Have you got the game on?" Because it was great. More of that, the better, I think.
Right, Tess. Here we go then. Your turn. What do you want to do first? Olympics or Euros?
I'll keep on the club Euros to begin. Yep. Just a quick shout out to the rescheduled, although they've been cancelled this year, but they are going ahead next year in I think the women are in Belgium and the men are in Austria for the championship and the trophy. And so Surbiton women will be at the championship. And well, that's the actual Euros, the nations one.
We're talking EHL.
About the EHL. So yeah, and then EG women will be in the trophy for the men. Their championships, Surbiton, and then there's the EHL Cup, which I think is below the trophy level, which is what Hampstead and Westminster are playing in for the men. So that's pretty cool. Good to have British presence, which is awesome. Hoping to get into the next stages. But yeah, onto the Euros, the nation Euros. So we'll start with the men. So last year, the men didn't quite get into the semi-final stage, but the pools have been redrawn this year, so they won't have as many home nation games, which I think is going to be really key for them this year, because the home nations is it's a hard matches to play because it's like the derbies. But yeah, you can see England have got Belgium, Spain, and Russia, and I think that's a really good pool. Belgium, obviously world champions at the moment, Olympic champions, hope probably next year, if GB don't win. But Spain and Russia, great games for England. So that means I think we've got a great chance to getting into the semi-final. And then you're looking at a crossover game probably with Germany or the Netherlands. And we saw earlier this year, very close games between them. So I think if we had a crossover with the Netherlands, and Belgium played Germany, I think that we could even be in the final, very realistically. So that's exciting.
How cool is Wales there?
Pardon?
There's a 101 sponsored nation there, Mike, with Wales, which is cool. You're going to get a 101 badge flying at the Euros this summer.
It was at the last Euros in 2019. Little subtle number,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I'm biased. I think Wales will finish above France, and therefore stay in Div A for the following championships. So that's my bet. Because I think France.
Makes those games really fascinating, though, doesn't it? Because you obviously look at Netherlands and Germany and think, well, they are very strong in that pool. And you would say on rankings, you'd say, well, they have every right to say they should beat France and Wales. But actually, if Wales and France draw, those games against Germany and Netherlands become about what you do against them. And actually, it can make for a really exciting tournament with all the outcomes. The relegation promotion aspect of Euros means the pools are live right to the end most of the time, which makes for really intriguing games. So, yeah, a lot of stories in that one potentially.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, even in that pool A, like, yes, you'd assume that Russia would finish at the bottom of that pool. But Spain are tough, eh? Like, they are hard to play. They've got, is it Lorenzo, who's the flicker, who's phenomenal. Still got Cortez, who's still, I still think he's one of the best goalies in the world. He's phenomenal. Not getting any younger, mind, but he is definitely phenomenal. So yeah, I think that's tough. I think that's anything could happen there. And then the women's side.
Yeah, the women. So pools drawn slightly differently this year. England don't normally come. So we've got Germany, which we had this year, and Belgium, and then Italy, which is going to be a tough pool, I think. But given the games we had earlier this year, I think puts us in a really good place, confidence-wise, to go into that pool. Especially this is like a month or so before the Olympics, so it's really key for those players who are selected to like get the feeling of international hockey again, because there won't be that many opportunities during the year. So I think that's probably what the Euros is going to be like. Great to see Scotland in the women's pool A. So great. They won their competition last year, so have got promoted, which is great. So we'll probably have some of the team for the Olympics playing in that Scottish team there. Scotland Ireland, that will be a great game. As long as England and Scotland don't cross, then I think we'll be fine.
Gotta hope the fans are allowed in by the 4th to 13th of June. It'd be great to have an Irish and a Scottish crowd in the stadium in Amsterdam. That'd be fantastic.
That'd be
That's
so.
a game you'd love to be at.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think Pool A will be the second and first place will be up for grabs, because I mean Holland's finished second in the pool last year, which is why England, who finished top of their pool, had to cross over with Holland in the semi-final, because normally they were top of the pool, but they had 2 draws at the beginning of their tournament. So I think Ireland could push for second place, especially with their momentum getting into the Olympics. But yeah, onwards to the Olympics.
Very good.
So Tokyo 2021, which it should say. Interesting sets of pools. So we'll start with the men. Pool A, I think it's all up for grabs there. You've got Australia and Argentina. So remember, you have the quarterfinals, then semis. So you have like knockout rounds, which is different to the Euros, which means there's a lot more chance to get knocked out, but also more chance for lower teams to get through. So, I mean, you're probably looking at Australia and Argentina and India probably fighting in that Pool A for those top 3 spots. I'd say Pool B, GB, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany. That's tough for there. But I mean, it's all to play for, as we saw earlier. Yeah, GB can compete with anyone. Then in the women, yeah, again, everything's to play for. It's interesting that quite a lot of the pools are quite similar actually for the men and the women. But yeah, GB's first game will be against India, I believe. And then we play Ireland last. So that is a interesting pool. Again, it's 3 spots, so I mean, can see what happens. But is it 4 spots?
So top 4. I think the top 4 in each group play each other. You come out your group, top 1 to 4. So 4 plays 1, 2 plays 3 as a crossover game. So
that's funny. I should know that.
GB, like for instance, GB men. If you say as the spot to avoid could probably be 4th, because you don't add. If you're a betting man, you'd have to say Australia will be a favourite for Pool A.
Yeah.
You might say that'd be a tough quarter final. So coming better than 4. And not that it's a given that you qualify, and obviously that's the first aim, but yeah, avoiding Australia possibly could be. I think I'd make on Olympic record alone. You'd say possibly Australian men would be quite strong. So yeah, that's how the quarterfinals are made, I believe. Top 4 crossovers.
That's great. That makes it even more exciting. Yeah, the crossovers from Pool A to Pool B will be very interesting. Yeah, I reckon that's probably it. Next, in August.
Are you gonna put your hat on? It's hard to ask Tess, isn't it? Because she's gonna play in it, hopefully. But who's gonna win, Mike?
I think on the men's side, I think you've got to be looking at one of Australia or Belgium. I think Belgium are just like, you just watch what they're doing and they're just playing a different game to everyone else at the moment. And on the women's side, again, it's tough to look past Holland. As much as I want GB to get a second gold, I think Holland are going to be tough to play. But I also feel that they've shown that they're not invincible. And I think that then makes it really exciting, because you look at what happened pre-2016, everyone's saying the same. Like, it's going to be the Dutch. They're going to smash the Euros, smash the Olympics, job done. And GB won both. So actually, I'm looking at this going, I think on the women's game, I think we've got a good shot. I think actually the squad's really developing. And I think through the Pro League have shown that actually we can, we're really hard to play. And I think we're going to start to really, we've got another year. And I think this timeout's a real leveler. So I think we're in as good a shot as any. But yeah.
Who saw the Argentina men gold medal coming? It was like, you wouldn't have said, but they've obviously always retained the fact they are good players. But I don't know too many people that said, yeah, they're going to win 2016. It was the usual protagonists. It was Aussies. It was the Dutch men. So anything could happen. I like Australian men. I think not that they are easy games, but I think they come from a slightly easier pool. If I had to say now, I think that the pool games are going to be like knockout games in that Pool B.
I also think they've got something to prove from the World Cup last year. Of the way that they came, they won the bronze, but in an incredible fashion. 4 goals everywhere. So I think they want to take on Belgium.
Absolutely.
And I think the other thing with Australian men is that and we're going back a little bit now. I think from 2014, I feel like they probably feel like they've always underachieved since 2014.
When they won the World Cup.
They annihilated the World Cup. Yeah,
that was like that generation's last dance, wasn't it? That have been around for like years. Yeah. I know there's some of them played on a bit longer, but like the core of that group, they were still at the best. There was still a lot of them there that had been so good for so long. And but you'd probably say the group that kind of followed that generation that followed that are coming to the right age to be good now.
Yeah,
to be really, really good now.
And I think the heat in Australia is going to give them a massive advantage because Tokyo will be so hot. So I also think that for the Argentinian women will be a big bonus for them. we won't realistically get much like heat training before Tokyo. So I think that's gonna be really key, is how like they're able to adapt to that heat and humidity.
Yeah,
that's a really good point. Yeah, that's a huge point.
And that played a role in Argentina men winning in Brazil.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I think they also were at a point where the core of their squad were like in their prime. Like they had enough experience of World Cups, Olympics, everything else. Payout was on unbelievable form. And I'm just like, I think it just landed like the stars aligned, for one of a cheesier phrase. Like it was their time. Similar to GB women, I think like they'd had, a lot of that group were together for a long time, in their peak of their prime. Like the group was, united really well. I think it was their time. So I think it's really exciting. I love the Olympics. I literally just want to shut down everything, laptop, TV, and just watching all the different sports, but hockey front and center. Just it's my favorite thing. I love the Olympics. So.
Hopefully, it's like we call this looking forward to 2021. I think sport hopefully will take off in a completely new way, and everyone will want to watch the world coming together, I guess.
And everyone's had the chance to remember why they love it, because they've sort of in one way or another been deprived of the full experience in some sense, haven't they?
Yeah.
Everyone hope to remember why they love it, and it'll be a massive interest. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Can't wait. And on that note, I think we will finish there. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for these first 3 episodes. So excited to get started again in the new year. We'll put all over social media the next one. Obviously, we won't do one next week, being Christmas Day. So we'll definitely give it a week off. But we will return shortly after. Thank you very much to both of you. Absolutely loving this. It's highlight of the week. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
Love chatting. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Tess. Merry Christmas, Mike. See you all in the new year.
See you all in the new year, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.